Hi, back again with number 4. This one is to get her hair done. It didn't take too long yesterday to do this practice one, so maybe if this video is not going too long and I don't talk through the whole thing too much, we might be able to get the other bits and pieces done there too that I was going to leave for the next video. So that's all the accessories, the buckles, the flask, the tattoos, the sword, and the features on her face as well. This is a sample one again. This is the one that I used the $2 pencils for the skin to start off the first time. I really love this hair colour. It just turned out so vibrant and it reminds me of my boys. Both of my boys have this colour hair, well, they used to. I haven't actually used any white or any Posca or any lemon colour on this one. I just left a little bit of see-through there. So it was actually relatively easy and I'm pretty happy with it. I think the only thing I'm going to change now for the other one that we're working on today, I started with a really dark brown here in the plait. You can see there where the little pieces overlap, and I have a feeling it might be a little bit too dark. So what I'm going to do is in that area there, I think I'm going to just leave that until the very end to see if I want to put that dark colour in there again next time. The rest of it, and that was actually that was espresso. That's $10.99. It's a good dark brown actually. It's one of the ones I use the most. I think it's the darkest brown that we've got in that 150 set. The other brown that I was using is Sienna Brown 945. I have to remember to turn these things around that way. Sienna Brown 945. That's got a nice orange or red sort of colouring to it as well, so it goes really well when you're making redheads. Now to get the orange hair there, turn that around, pumpkin orange and normal plain old orange, which is 918, and then I've also got Spanish orange, which is it's a borderline orange yellow. It's just a tiny bit darker than the sunburst yellow that I used as an undercoat on this one the other day. So what I'm going to do with this one is actually just marking where I want the highlights first, so that I don't go over those, because what I tend to do is forget about these little shine parts up here on her head, and I just go to town with the other colours, and I end up making a mess of it, and I have to go back with the luma colour or the rubber. So hopefully I can get that right this time. That's about it. So I think you can see pretty much the whole thing there this time, and it's all hair today except for that. There's that little rubber band thing around her hair that we might go back and do that another time. Okay, so we get her out of the way. I was going to put this off for a little while because it's Christmas Eve and there is some cooking to be done, but I just came back from the shops where it is just, oh boy, there was not a nice place to be this morning. So I thought I'll just come back, I'll relax, do a little bit of colouring. Kind of did a little bit of impulse buying too, which I now regret. I bought, let me see if I can show you this. I'll turn that camera, there, look at that. Isn't that what everybody comes home with on Christmas Eve? Jellyfish lamp. Fake jellyfish, obviously, little plastic ones. And at the moment, they're just sitting there not doing anything much at all. So, yeah. That's me this morning. Stress at the shops. Not enjoying it at all. Come home with a bloody jellyfish lamp. Gonna regret that one. Probably I'll just take it to school, let the kids play with it. It's usually where most of my impulse buying goes. So let's start this girl. Now, this is a really good one to use to do together because her face is straight on. Her hair seems to be relatively symmetrical. It does have a little bit of detail down here, which we can get around. There's no big deal there. I'm just going to do, standard highlights and I don't know what you call them, lowlights, highlights, and lowlights. Don't know. There is a little touch of green here along her hair where I went out of the lines with the blue skies, but we're going to be able to go over that with the sienna a little bit later on. Now I am going to have to spin this around because I can't do the hair all in the same direction. This is really the one time when I like my pencils to be mostly sharp, because you need, for the hair to actually work, you want to be able to see some of your pencil strokes in there. Yes, you can get them with a blunt pencil, but you can get them even better with a sharp pencil. So I have actually sharpened all of these ones before I turn the camera on, just in case I spill the sharpener everywhere. We've had a few minutes silence for my poor little blender guy, and I'm keeping him, he sits on my laptop. And we're right to go. I think I've got everything. Let's have a look at this. Now the first thing I want to do is put in some highlights here just to remind myself not to go over with the dark. Roughly along the top. Now there are so many different ways to do hair. So many different ways, but this is just what I'm doing. Not the perfect way, not the best way, just a way. And I don't think it's too hard. I just picked up a few different ideas by watching YouTube videos and also having a look at what people on the Jasmine group have done. I'm feeling I might have in the last video put a link in the, not in the comments, in the description. I might put a link to the Jasmine group. If I didn't, I'll go back and do that. What I'm doing here is just, not worrying too much about the stroke, but I want to leave some white bits in between there. I've probably done a little bit more than I should have on that, but it's just like we did with the, gosh, where did we do that the other day? It may have been when we were doing the ocean, and we're just, yeah, look, because there's the, down here, look, there's that blue we were doing it, it was the ocean. So it's just touch down and take off kind of thing, so that you don't end up with, you know, you don't want solid lines or anything. You want just tapered lines. So just a little bit of yellow up on the top there, just to remind me that's where I want some highlight. The other highlight, if you're looking for a kind of a formula way to do this, have a look where the hair's sticking out, where it's going to catch the light. So it's going to be there and there. Now, Jasmine has also been really helpful, and she's put these little bits in too, which tell us that something different's going to go on with the hair in those areas. This highlight here you need to extend onto those front bits. You could even bring it up just a little bit there, because that's sticking up higher. It's not there. Let me rub that out. I'm just going to take that bit back a bit. I want the roots to be a little bit darker. Alright, then down here, oh, that's an earring there. I have actually got a yellow coat on it for the the same as the hair colour, but that's actually an earring, so let's just pretend I didn't do that. And I'm going to have a highlight there, and here's another sticky outy part. Highlight there and probably there as well, and maybe just on this part. So again on this part, sticky outy bit, maybe there, maybe there. Then probably a little bit just here. I'm just looking at, I'm comparing it with what I did the first time around, and I kind of got that off Jasmine's original, which I haven't got open this time. I'm going to get that open just in case. That's just sitting on my iPad. I've got a folder full of the originals for both of the books. It just makes it so much easier to find out where to put light and dark. I am learning. I do just find it easier to have that there as a reference. And yep, she's done the same thing now. The other place that's going to have a shine on it, you can see, let me get this one. You can see here that it's also going to be in the middle of each of these pieces of her hair. So just to remind myself again, and just to brighten it up a little, I'm just going to put a little touch of that, and it's just a scribble really, but keep the strokes going in the direction that the hair is going. And it kind of, in these ones, it kind of curves like that, you know, smiley face, sad face thing again, which helps give it, helps you see the roundness of those bits of, is there a word for each of these? Segments, let's call them segments. Segments is a good word. It makes me sound a little bit smarter. And I'm just going to scribble those in. A bit round here, a bit round there, a bit there. And that's probably, for now, enough of that. Right, I don't think, yeah, wait, we forgot that bit. A little bit just there too, and I'm going to put it on this one. I'm just going to put it on the outsides because the insides are going to be a little bit darker. Down here I think that's a bit of hair, and I think that's a bead and that's a bead, and there's a little bit of hair there on the end. We'll do the beads later. I might just put a bit of highlight there, and maybe just the tiniest bit around here too. Alright, so I've got all of that in. That was Spanish orange, 1003. That's just to help me remember where I want to put highlights and not to go too crazy with the dark colours. You can start light and go dark, you can start dark and go light, but there's always going to be this dark colour coming out of the root, so I'm just going to put that in, and then I think I'll build up the orange over it. I'll just do exactly the same thing as I did with that, the test one. It seemed to work out pretty good. On this you can see there's some lines here coming out from her part. Now the hair kind of clumps a little bit, I guess, and so if each one of those is a clump, it's going to be a little bit like the folds in the clothes, where you want to just put a little bit of dark behind it as well. Except that I didn't there, I totally missed that one. Now, when you get to the back here, you just sort of fan it up a little bit because you don't want it to be like a runway straight down the middle. Now, when you do this, try and flick your pencil. This is why the sharp bit helps. If you can see, the lines are quite thick here, but then quite thin towards the tip. So flick your pencil and grab yourself a bit of paper and practice that. So you might be more comfortable flicking away from yourself. What you're going to do when you're, you can't see that because it's too far away. Now you can. Sorry. If you flick, just practice your flicking and sort of try and start from the same area and have a go with your, get your flicking, and what you're looking for, it's up to you whether it's fuzzy lines or if it's sharp lines like that. I prefer either actually, they both work for me, but what you do want is a tapered off tip that sort of just fades away into nothing. So this works for hair, wolves, dogs, all of those animals with fur. Don't talk to me about cats. Oh my goodness. My book is full of the pictures of cats because I'm just not touching those. So what we're going to do, this is how it's going to build up on the original. So that was a little bit of pumpkin orange over the top of sienna, and then that's just the 918 orange going over the top of that. So what it does is it builds up the layers of her hair, and the darker brown, which is the sienna 945, will actually create the shadows in there, and then the bits where we've got a bit of that lighter yellow are going to create the highlights or the shine in her hair. So get that out of the way. So what I'm doing here, oh gosh, sorry, that new software makes it zoom in really close, and I can't get it to zoom out. So, but I did learn how to edit a video yesterday. I cut out some of the bits that you just didn't need. Alright, this, I'm just looking at the pointy part of it, and I'm just going behind where those lines are. I feel more comfortable flicking the pencil towards myself rather than away, but I'm just trying to minimise the amount of times I spin this around. It gets a little bit tricky. Try not to go solid, and what I mean is make sure that there's gaps in between your strokes here along the part so that you can still see that base colour underneath. So just flick that around, and remember you want to tape it in. See this line here? Can you see that stroke there, how it's really blocky on the end? You don't want that. Well, you might. I don't. Like I said, I'm not an expert on hair. I don't really feel like I do the greatest job on hair. But I am pretty darn stoked with how hers turned out on the other one. So that's about all we want. I wouldn't really want to go too much down towards the front here because you're probably going to get a little bit of a highlight naturally there at the front of her hair. What I do want to do is just bring that sienna brown, and I'm not flicking so much now as I'm shading, just like I did on the clothes. I'm just going along that line there because she's got these two pieces of hair that come out the front. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a shadow behind that, just to help define that bit at the front. And I'm not too worried about getting a straight edge on that line because there's going to be a few other layers, but I'm just going to sort of flick it out a little bit to soften it. We'll see how it goes. And then down this side. And what I've done, let me think. I've done it again because I'm a bit of a dingbat sometimes. What I've done is I've actually put that brown where the highlight is. So I'm just going to go back with the rubber. And here, just remove a bit of that brown because I'm going to leave it a little bit there, but I don't want it as dark as the rest because remember this is where the highlight comes through. If I show you on the one that's finished, see that? And I just feel like here, that bit of brown there is just too dark given that there's a highlight coming through in those two parts there. So I'll just put a little bit of it though. And then the rest of it, just going to curve that around. Just really have that one there to see. Okay, around here too. Now with this sienna brown, I'm also going to go over the parts that are towards the back. So in here, and not too worried about the stroke, but I'm just still doing that scratchy to fill it up. Here as well, this one doesn't have any ears, which is great because I usually end up forgetting the ears and colouring them in as hair anyhow. It's going to be a bit darker underneath here because she's got that nice big thick part coming out the front there, so we'll just darken that up a bit too. Sienna brown really is a beautiful colour. It's fabulous for skin if you want to go a few shades lighter with skin. And where else can we put it? We can probably put a little bit under that earring just there, and we'll just come around here too, basically adding in the shadows. So a little bit under her chin. That's not really a chin, is it? She's got a little tiny pointy chin. Let's just get those. I'm just going to make those a little bit streakier because they're not as deep in shadow as this part here, so I just want to keep make sure that they still look like hair. Then the next part, I'm going to, first of all, make sure I cover up that green that I messed up with. I do love red hair and green, but not actually on the hair. So I'm just going to put that over there. Technically, that probably should be a bit of a highlight, but again, like I said yesterday, you've got to do something with your mistakes. Okay, then this is going to be also coming out. I'll start over here actually. What I'm going to do is look at a starting point just here. I'm just going to flick up from that a little way, just to make that a little bit darker down there, and then also going the opposite way, just some little flicks. Just going to darken up those side parts, so then same across here. And just make sure I don't go uneven. That's just flicking, so pencil down, flick it up and make sure you get a nice point on there. If you find it's getting too fuzzy, just give it a single twist in the sharpener just to freshen up the point, or just twist it around a bit because you're always going to get a sharper edge, which is going to save your pencils in the long run. Those things are that bloody expensive. You don't want to go wasting them if you don't have to. Says the person who went and bought the whole 150 set piece by piece. Really. Okay. the next bit we're going to look at is just adding a little bit of shadow here to the opposite side. So I put the highlights there. I'm just going to put in a little bit of shadow there. So opposite, just a little bit. I think I'll probably make more of a, I'll use the pumpkin orange more here, but I'll just add that little bit in. Okay, and we want any on her, maybe just the tiniest touch. So on these front pieces here, you've got highlight and you've got highlight. So just in between those, what I'm going to do is the same sort of stroke, but this time instead of going, I don't know why this is showing up funny, there we go. Instead of going flip like that for the hair, I'm going to do that runway thing again, where you're down and up kind of thing, just to give you a nice, just to give you a little bit of a dip in the hair here. Not a lot. Okay, maybe just down there too, where it's dipping in a tiny touch. Try not to have it squared off on the end. You want to taper it in. And where did I do it? It's probably opposite that one just there. The next thing is we are going to do the, now I said I was going to leave the espresso. Now the espresso is it's a great handy brown to use. So this is the sienna that we're using, which is like a really nice reddish brown. But the espresso is like a, well, I don't drink coffee, but I imagine that it's like, to me, well, it's called espresso. So obviously, it's more of a dirty brown. I find it a bit more like an umber than a sienna. So, but it's definitely the darkest brown that you can get without going to black, I feel like. But you know, half the time I'm not sure what I'm talking about. I'm just going to freshen up the sienna again before we go in and do the plait, because it's getting a little blunt. Oh yeah, didn't spill it this time. Now, in here, what we want to do is look, again looking, oh, maybe I see that, let me just, okay, there you go. We're going to be looking at the overlaps again, so it's very, very similar to what we did here with the pants, where we're looking for the overlaps and putting the shadows in to show the depth. So it's exactly the same thing here. So when you're getting the hair done, you're looking for the parts that are at the back. So straight away, this little bit here is going to be darker because it's in between, it's way back behind those. To be able to show the layers, excuse me, got crumbs all over that. To show the position of different things on the page, that's why you're putting the shadows in too. So if you look at this one, it's ahead of that, it's in front of that. So this is going to cast, even if it doesn't cast a shadow, what you do is you just darken that a little bit just to show the depth. So you could go, not too much, but so you could just go all the way down, because these are all going to overlap. So there's a nice cheek, just do that straight down. I'm just going really lightly because I do feel like the original one was a bit too dark. And I'm just sort of dancing the pencil over the paper again. I'm really not applying any pressure. I'm just letting the colour brush off as I rub, move the pencil across the surface. So again, just follow that part of her hair down. This is, I think we've got a little bit lost. Have you guys noticed that in some of the drawings there's some parts that don't make sense? And then you go to look at the original and it's like, yeah, well, okay, that's not actually in the original. Whoever's converted the original paintings into the colouring has done a fabulous job. Absolutely amazing job. I just get a little bit confused sometimes when the lines don't seem to make sense. But you can always turn them into something. Reminds me of that man, I don't know what his name is, but he paints the mountains and he turns his mistakes into birds. You know that bloke? Okay, you've gone along here, along the plait, and you've done the underside. So we can do exactly the same thing over on this side. I've just started at the top. Now there's a line missing here, where this piece of hair goes up. So you can just add that in yourself. And this side's going to be the underneath. But now this piece is going over the top there. So, and it's going over the top of this one. So we're just going to a little bit brown on there. And just keep going down the plait as well. Now here, let's have a look at the original. Yep, okay. The line work doesn't look like it, but let's just make that the underneath, just to sort of keep with the pattern of how the hair twists. We then can go back and say, okay, well this one here is overlapping these two, so let's just go with a little bit of brown across there. And the same down here, because this one is in front of this one. Kind of looks like a peach, perhaps, or a butt. And down that one, and then that one. So you're just looking anywhere that they overlap, really, and just add a little bit of definition there. Same over here. So you could possibly fast forward this bit if you like, because you're just looking for what goes underneath the other parts and just adding the shadows in to define that. So I'm just going to shut up and colour these in and see if I can reach my phone to check that message. And I've just realised that you may not be able to see that on the screen because that part has just gone. Well, you should be able to see that maybe. I'll just move that up a little bit. And just about done. So what I'm looking for is, just like I said before, the parts that are behind something else, and you're just putting in a little bit of shadow for depth. I'll do that there. And then just a little bit in here too, on the inside curve, I think. And that should do it for now. I'll just have a look over that. I'm going to add a little bit here because the plait is coming out from behind her hair. And there's see that little curve. Oh, I've gone too high again. This little curve just here. Just get the inside of that, just to help define that a little bit. I think we got it. Okay. So the next thing is going to be the orange, and I'm just not very stealthily grabbing my phone before I change colours. The next part, well, I think I'm just going to go from dark to light. So the next part is going to be the pumpkin orange. That was just my son asking if he should cook something for Christmas tomorrow. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm being really rude. Don't mind me. My children don't teach me very often, so I answer it when I can. Oh, hey, my jellyfish is swimming. Check this out. Look at that. He's actually doing something. Man, that's cheap and nasty, isn't it? That's going to amuse me for minutes. No, look at him go. Alright. Okay, that was worth $18, maybe. Oh, what am I kidding? It really wasn't. Let's get on with the orange. Okay. Exactly the same here. Now, each of these colours, if you're going dark to light, each of these colours is going to come out a little further than the layer before. If you're going light to dark, then the colours are going to reduce. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. Nice sharp pencil. This is pumpkin orange 1032. And exactly the same thing that we did there, just a flick. But we're going to bring that out part way into this yellow shade that we used. But I don't want to go back and make it all solid. I want to be able to see some of the background colour, which was the yellow, sunburst yellow. I want to be able to see some of that sienna brown as well, because that's all going to help make it look like we've been really awesome and coloured in strands of hair. So, look at that. Sometimes when the hair works, I'm just like, can you believe I did that? I really like this. Keep moving your pencil. Don't stay in the same spot and go over and over. Keep moving your pencil backwards and forwards and vary the length of each of your strokes. And then we're going to, same as I did before, I'm just going to turn this a bit, sorry guys. It's not really good with the light. Let me just turn the light on while I do it. A bit awkward, see if that helps. Maybe. So starting down here, I went in with that dark brown and just bringing them up as well. This is going to come up much further now. Remember we put that yellow in there at the beginning just to remind, I put it in to remind me of where I wanted the highlight to be. So I'm bringing the pumpkin orange all the way up to the edge of it. I'm going to just have a few strokes go over it, but mostly I actually want that other orange, the brighter orange, to go over it. Just going to tilt this around the other way so that I can get this side in. Same again, I'm going to get the pumpkin orange all the way up to the edge of that highlight. A few strokes to go over the top of it. Remember to keep your strokes curved. Follow the hair and the shape of her head. You don't want them straight. So keep those nice and curved and make sure they taper off at the ends. Sharpen your pencil as many times as you need to, but you really only got to give it 1 or 2 twists in your sharpener to keep it just right. Oh, that little jellyfish is really going for it. Now, this part here, remember that this highlight's going to carry right the way through, so I'm going to leave a little gap there and go over where I did that brown part before, the sienna brown, and just bring the pumpkin in further. And again, don't stay in the one place. If you stay in the one place, you're going to build up too solid a colour. You want to keep moving backwards and forwards and make sure that your stroke always ends with your pencil lifting off the page. That way you're going to get a nice, what's the technical word? Fluffy. You're going to get a nice fluffy stroke with a pointy tip on it. Okay, and just a couple of heavier strokes there too, because why not? That orange is a beautiful colour. But I'm going to do it on the back of each one of those dark lines, just so that it makes sense when I do it. How's that? Oh, look at that. You can see here, see that little bit of darker orange there? That's me being not careful. So I'll just spread those out a bit. I don't think I'm going to be able to change that very much. I might have to. Let's just leave that till the end and see what happens. Now over here where I've done the pumpkin, that ending is just too chopped off. So we just lighten that up a bit with a few random strokes. Next part for pumpkin, I'm going to turn this back around a bit. Pumpkin is going to come right the way down here. Not here where we're doing the highlight though, we don't want to do that. So curve the pumpkin around, maybe just a touch there. Hope you can see that alright. Curve the pumpkin into right over her face. You freaking idiot. Hopefully it'll rub off because I've blended her face. Underneath the earrings, around through those curves. I'm not a great fan of doing these curly hairs, to be honest. That other pirate, the one with the really curly hair, I can't say I enjoyed that hair a great deal. I am happy with how it turned out. I did it bright blue, but I'm not real happy with, oh no, I'm not happy, that's wrong. It's not my favourite thing. Doing all those curly hairs. I like these nice straight ones where you can make it look all shiny and a bit awesome. I'm just going to put some in here as well, just so that it's not that flat brown, because she is a redhead. And we just want to move back over there as well. I'm not very systematic, so I'm just sort of jumping all around the page just to go where I want to go. That original back out. Okay, we want to put orange there. Just because it's a small area, you can't get, well, you probably could if you're a bit more patient. I don't get very flicky in there, so I tend to colour more than flick. And like I said before, if you practice this technique, it actually does make a really good wolf. I would assume that it makes a good cat. I've yet to actually make a good cat. I've coloured a couple of them. One actually looked like an old man. Or it might have been a cat wearing an old man mask. It was really creepy though. It turned out it had eyebrows. So, yeah, I'm avoiding a lot of the cats, especially those great big Maine Coon cats. Sorry, cat fans, I don't mind them, but they're not my favourite thing. I've just noticed a big white patch here. I'll just leave that, most of that for the other orange. You can see now how the colours are building up. We've still got that highlight of yellow at the top, and it is standing out quite a bit, but don't forget we've still got another layer of the lighter orange to go. We're going on to the plait. Now, we're going to go everywhere that we didn't put the yellow, basically, including over that brown. So I'm going to just start here and keep, if I was, do you know what, I think I've missed out a bunch of shading. I have to because I'm a peanut. So I'm just switching back to sienna for a moment because I just want to put in, I forgot to do this part. I'm just putting in some flicks to make, so I put the shading in before just to define the pattern of the hair, but I just want to put in a few flicks, and you've got to make sure that you, so start from in there, just make sure that you keep these curved with the curve of the hair. And again, make sure that you're lifting off, that your stroke ends up in the air. That way you get that nice tapered line. Okay, just quickly go over here too. So if you want to fast forward this for a minute or so, just going to add all exactly the same stroke in. I think I've got it all. Maybe just down here because it's behind her body. Okay. Alright, take two. I'm just going to freshen up that orange because it's dulled down a little bit from doing the top of her head. So back to this, same stroke again. Start from the points and curve it. So when we're doing plaits like this, you go flick your strokes that way, and then flick your strokes that way, and you should get that nice rounded hair. So I'm just picking the ones that I can do first without turning the page, and then I'll turn the page. Now that I've said turn the page, I want to listen to Metallica's version. I may have to get Guitar Hero out after this. Oh, this is what happens when you rush a little bit and you don't turn the page when you should. Those strokes there are a bit choppier than I'd like. I'm just going to turn this around now so that I can get these bits. Make sure that you keep those lines end your stroke in the air and don't stay in one place. Keep the pencil moving across the surface. Okay, I think that's just leaving that lighter in the middle. And okay, I might be able to, got to remember that one, keep forgetting that. Same over here, I'm just going to get all of the ones that are in the same direction and I'll turn it back again. Same stroke as I just did on the other side, same place, so you could fast forward this again if you choose. A little bit noisier outside today. It is a Saturday. There's quite a few people home, and the area that I live in, there are not very many people who would celebrate Christmas. So, not many people here out at the shops doing the last minute groceries and gifts. I have that horrible nagging feeling, I don't know if anyone else gets that, of it's Christmas tomorrow and have I forgotten something really important? Like when my kids were little, I used to have dreams that I'd forgotten to buy their gifts or put their Santa gifts out the night before. Look, they're in our late 20s now. So that part doesn't matter, but I still, now I panic that I haven't gotten something really important that I need. Okay, I think I might have everything. I might just add a little bit more up here where it comes out. And there too. How's that? Alrighty. It's not as bright as it is at the top, is it? Let's see what happens now. I'm just going to say, just taking a minute to look on the screen because I can see some really choppy parts there that should not be. So I'm just going to feather off a few of those. I'm not going to worry too much though because I've got the other orange now. So this is 918 orange, just a standard orange. So we go back to the top again and we do exactly the same thing, but this time it can come out just a little bit further into that highlight. So start from the roots and curved flicks. Now if you don't have prismers, if you're just working with Crayola or some other brand of pencil, just go with orange, yellow and a brown. Most pencil packs come with a couple of shades of brown, so go with a light brown, but then if you feel like you need to, you can always get in with a darker brown afterwards. But orange and yellow and brown will make some nice orange hair for you. Just going to press a little harder here, but still keep rotating the pencil around to make sure I've got the sharpest point and coming right up into that highlight. This part here, this little skinny part, I'll always find in all of Jasmine's pictures that's a really good starting point to get the side of the hair done. So generally my strokes come from there. Now what I like to do as well, I don't want that to be a yellow stripe across, so what I always do is just go over it and put a couple of strokes of the other colour in. Up to this side, I'm just going to tilt that so I can go in the right direction. Keep turning the pencil so you're using the sharpest edge There's always going to be a sharper edge on there. Look at that. Yeah, I really like this. So just a couple of zigzag back and forth over the highlight. I'll back up to this part. Same, a little touch over the highlight area. And I'm just going to make sure, I'm just stopping and checking against the screen, because I do get a better idea of it that way. A little bit of orange into there, down through here, and pull it apart. How are we going? There's a bit of white there, there it is. And then we go over here, same thing again, up into the highlight. Now, you don't want, you can see here where I've done the yellow highlight at the beginning and I've just got all of the oranges, and it's a very definite line there, which we absolutely don't want. So just soften that off with different pressure, but don't lose the yellow. Here's me saying that like you guys have done the same thing. Scribbling again now, but sort of trying to keep it a bit scratchy so you get those strokes. Back around the inside of these curves on the opposite side to where the yellow is. The yellow is the highlight, and again if you find that it's leaving a definite line between them, just soften it up a little. There's the fiddly bits I don't like that I usually just ignore because I can't see well enough to get in those little spaces. Over here, and now, oh, I forgot it. After saying I wasn't going to forget it, I forgot it. Alright, where's this? Okay, here's Sienna Brown. Sienna Brown with this one is just going to be really rough because it's a smaller plait, but it still just goes on in the same area, so underneath all of those, and then just there as well. A little bit there. Very quickly back with the pumpkin. And I'm not doing this in any way the same that I do the hair, because it's tiny little bits. You can if you want, if you're really into those little details and you don't mind being patient and getting into areas, knock yourself out. I'm more than happy just to do this. A little bit of a scribble, and I'm happy with that. The next bit, I'm just going to refresh the orange a little bit. And I have to turn this, sorry. Same as the other strokes, but these ones again, they come a little bit further and they do go over that highlight. So you want to come curving that way, and it's a little less flicky now. Just make sure that you do go over the highlight with a few little strokes around the edge, and then just coming over the highlight. Top screen. Right. Probably a little bit more solid in these areas here. There's a few lines missing. There should be a black line right there, and there's not. I don't know if I did this part. I'm doing it now just in case. This bit. And we'll just keep going. So again, if you want to fast forward this, I'm just doing exactly the same thing. So where I did the sienna brown to start and the pumpkin orange for the second part, I'm doing exactly the same with the lighter orange, but I'm bringing it in further. So I'm just going to do that across both sides of this piece of hair. If you're still watching, you can actually see that I'm not flicking like I did for the up the top there. I'm just more colouring but leaving it choppy, and basically it's just quite messy, but it works. Alright, turn it around over here. Make sure that you leave the yellow that was the highlight, make sure you leave that in the centre of each one, because that's where it's going to be the shiniest, because it's the part that's most prominent. So if you're not sure of where the highlight goes, just think, if you were to reach out and touch this, what part would your hand reach first? That's the part where the highlight goes. I use that to try and teach my kids how to colour and use highlights, but they couldn't get the concept, so they said, well, Miss, if I reach out with my hand, I touch the whole thing first. So I'm hoping that makes sense to you guys. It didn't make sense to my 9 and 10-year-olds. Okay. I saw some of them at the shops this morning when I went. It's funny because they treat you like a rock star. They get so embarrassed and so excited to see you out in public like a real person. It's lovely. Okay. I think that's, yes, that is horribly messy, but that's me. I do messy bits. I'll just look at all of that. Okay, as a quick, yeah, it's a little bit choppier here than it should be, so I'm just going to sharpen it. Oh, wow. Look at that. That doesn't happen often. These pencils are so expensive that I don't like to sharpen them very much. If I lived in the States, that would be awesome because you could buy them from Amazon, but with the exchange rate and the postage, really, well, okay, yes, if I had bought the whole pack of 150 when they're on sale through Amazon, it probably would have been cheaper than the way I did buy them, but mostly Amazon's too expensive. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do, I might just get the original yellow. This is a sunburst yellow that I did the base coat of the hair with, and I'm just going to add just a couple of bright bits in there. Not a lot though, because I don't want to, I still want to see a bit of the white grain of the paper. The neighbours just came home. Alright. Now, what we can do, if you want to, and you don't have to, I'm just actually looking at that now, I'm thinking I might put, no, I lie. I'm going to do the blending first, and then I'm going to look at it again and see if I just need to refresh some of these parts here where you want to see the shadow. So, up here. Now, I'm not going to do a solid blend over the whole thing. I'm just going to do a scratchy blend, still keeping it in the same direction that the hair strokes were in. This actually brightens up the hair. You can see now the difference there. Look at that. I love it. I very rarely say that about my own stuff, but I love this. Don't be surprised now if I end up posting a whole bunch of colourings that have bright red hair. But I am cheating on you guys at the moment, and I'm doing another book. The Grim Fairy Tales from Zenoscope. They're my second favourite books at the moment. They've got all the sexy Red Riding Hood and Cinderella and Robin Hood. all those poor superhero women that have to get about in high heels and little bras and fancy undies. But the pictures are so much fun to colour. Look at that. I'm pretty happy with that. Just going to go crisscross down this flat here. I might even bring a little tiny, oh, I'm a bit loath to touch this. I'm just feeling like it needs a bit more white up the top here. Just the tiniest little bit, but I'm a bit hesitant to put the Lumicolour on this time because Lumicolour is a little bit dull. So if I'm a bit too heavy-handed with it, it's going to dull down that beautiful shine that we've got going on up there. So, I guess if I was doing this again, I would make sure I left more white. I could rub some out. I could go back with the rubber and just take a little bit off there. But, you know, there's always the chance that I screw it up and can't fix it. Down the flat here. I'm just going really rough. And I'm not really just curly bit. I have gone over the lines a lot there. You can't quite tell on the video unless you zoom in. And I'm certainly going to not zoom in on that. I'm going to show you my mistakes. I think what I might do now though is I might just go back with the sienna just in here, just to freshen that up, because when you blend it you do tend to lose a little bit of your stroke load. I don't know if you can tell there, but it's just adding some of the lines back in there so that it's sort of hair, not like a flat cap. Wow, look at that. Isn't that amazing what pencils can do? Love it. I reckon this is probably my favourite part of the whole picture. And I'm just going to darken in there too, just to help give a little bit more depth. I might even, I think I'm going to add some touches of the espresso colour. So if you haven't got espresso, just another really dark brown, but test it on a bit of paper with some of the other colours first, just to make sure you like it, because you don't want to, if you've got a misfire, you don't want to screw that up. I'm just going to add a couple of touches of that dark brown. It's not going on real well now because of the number of layers I've got there. So I'm just going to, just a few little flicks in there just to help define the hair. And this is usually where I fuck it all up, excuse me. This is usually where I mess it all up by getting too heavy-handed. I'm trying my best today because you're watching. Let me just go a little darker around there. Wouldn't you kill for hair like this, really? Not even that colour, but just that much hair. Look how far it comes down here. My hair hasn't done that for years. Alright, I think I might just go in there a little bit darker too, and just in these little, I'm just going to darken up these little V shapes here, but not too much. Yeah, see, this is why I should stop all on my head. I'm just going to lighten that off again because that was a bit stupid of me. That'll do. I'm going to have to touch that up again with orange now, but there we go. I do want to darken these little bits here, just the tiniest bit though. It's best not to go silly because that espresso is really quite dark. So maybe I should have grabbed a lighter brown. I could probably try a lighter brown, but I want something just a little darker than the sienna. Let's get that in there. That just, yeah, maybe just a touch under there. You can see how it's just defining each of those segments of her hair. I think it's like the lightest touch. Really light, and this is where I'm not using the point of the pencil. I'm actually, I've felt around for the flat part. You can feel it when it's on the paper. If you're colouring enough, you'll be able to feel which bit of the lead you're colouring with. I like that better with that bit of definition with the dark brown, so I'm going to go over here and do it too. Again, if you'd like to fast forward through this part, knock yourself out. The video I did yesterday with the clothes turned out to be like 3.5 gig. I'm not sure why. Something to do with the new software and the settings. So it took all night to upload. And I'm hoping that today is when I've changed the settings, so I'm hoping it's going to be able to get up sooner rather than later. Because I'd really like to just do the second part and then move on to something else now. Okay, that's all done. I'm just going to turn the light off there because I think there might be a little bit of glare messing around this side. Yep, there was. Okay, now what you could do if you so chose, and I am not going to because I'm more than likely just to mess it up, and I don't want to mess it up. I might just do a little bit to see how it goes, is you could add just the tiniest touch of Posca or Lumicolor or some other white that you use. Just, I know I'm going to mess it up. Where did I do it there? Can you see any? I can't even see any difference on this one. Don't put too much pressure on there. Oh God, now you can see that, can't you? Yuck. This is why you don't stop with it when it's looking alright. Look at that. Chisel it off. Okay, that just needs a few more strokes back into it, which is really tricky now because of the, I'm going to just put some pumpkin back over that bit. And it's going to need a bit of sienna because nothing's sticking, because it's got that many layers of pencil, and it's also got layers of Lumicolor. Let's pretend I'm not touching any more of that. The only thing I will do is grab a bit of peach, I think that's peach, I used for the face, and I'm just going to go up here, darken that, really with her skin. She should have a hat on. I'm also going to sharpen that sienna to a nice point, and I've decided that, oh gosh, yeah, I don't know if you can see how that's, let's see if I can get up to the camera. I don't know if you can see how that's, the wood's cracked. So either my sharpener is too full, which I doubt because I spilled it over my colouring yesterday, or the blades are getting a bit worn. She's having sienna brown eyebrows. That's the other thing I'd like, is eyebrows like that. I've also decided she's going to have brown eyes, not green. I might do one of each on the other page and see how it looks. Okay, that's it for today then. On the hair, I'm probably going to go straight on with another video, and I'll finish her off with the eyes, the lips, the tattoos, the sword, the flask, the buckles, and then she'll be finished and I'll do something else. I am thinking that the next thing I do is going to be a picture that's just done with those $2 pencils that I had the other day, which I think are right here. Let me see and get them out spilling them. These ones that we had the other day that are completely stupid because there's no purple, there's no orange, it's too dark green, it's too dark blues, it's just a ridiculous set. But I do like a bit of a challenge, so I may just show you how to work with those crappy ass pencils in case that's all you've got. If not, you can do the same thing with Christmas. Look at that hair. Happy with that. So that's it for today then for that one. Again, questions, find me in the Facebook group. Put questions in the comments section if you like. And thanks for joining in again. I'll see you next time. And